Right, so I'm doing some in-depth analysis on what I'm trying to predict, but be reactive to what I'm seeing at the moment. So I'm looking at Bitcoin predominantly at the so looking at the previous capitulation in March, we're going to have a look at the structure and see the similarities. So you had this sharp move down, followed by a week of somewhat indecision, and then a push up to do like a V-shaped recovery. So what's interesting about this is that first and foremost, we're going to get confirmation that the bottom is in, and that's going to come in the form of another attack. Like you can see here, we got another move down here, which was followed with a lot of volume. So what I'm sort of expecting and waiting right now is that I want to see how the week closes. If we take a fib from the bottom of that week to the top of that week, I've got the magnet tool on at the moment. You can see that the next week tapped in at the 78.60. So I'm looking for getting back in, and the 78.60 between here and the 7.860 looks really good. So if we fast forward to where we're at now, we've got a similar sort of thing going here, capitulation it's on the weekly, and we have to see. But the thing is, I'm waiting to see how the week closes before I put any orders down. And if it closes pretty bullish, like how it is now, then I will probably slap some orders down. I'd say the 70.2 or the 78.6. Now there is some concerns I have at the moment is that if we look on the other chart, I think it's doing it's in a longer correction at the moment, and there's a lot of indicators that suggest we haven't even really got into this correction right now. On the weekly MACD, you've seen it's just pushed down. On the 3-day, it's dipping down. So I think it really is a waiting game, but more than anything, it's the monthly that's kind of terrifying me right now. We have yet to touch the CMA. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to, but every time there is capitulation, like you can see here, there was a month, it definitely will retest these EMAs. So I'm not 100% convinced we are finished yet. I'm just going to keep waiting. My move on Aion is as followed. We get rid of, I cleared it all. Okay, so I'm expecting that same sort of capitulation, which we saw on Bitcoin. It's the same sort of thing you can see in the March attack here. Same strategy would work, which is wait for the week to close and then buy back between the 78 and the 84. I'll probably play it safe and buy back at the 78.60. Now, if we go to Aion, where we're at now, take it back to the top, 78.60 is about the 19 cent. Interestingly enough, we have a nice liquidity zone to work with on the weekly, which would make sense if we are doing a liquidity grab. You know, it's actually the top of that liquidity zone. So me personally, I'm going to wait to see how this week closes, because I feel that this week can close out bearish very easily, considering on the higher time frames we really have, it doesn't look good. Like the momentum's pretty rough to the downside. Even with the last capitulation, if we go back onto the bull run, sorry, the March 20 dip, it wasn't very quick. It lasted like a good few weeks. So you know, you got a lot of time before it actually, that's 21 days, you know, that it was there a while, and we had a few attempts. It wasn't very quick. Like you can see, there's a few good attempts on the daily. So it's a waiting game. Indicators to me don't look like it's finished at all, but they're just indicators. I have to really judge it off price action. So I think it's a waiting game. I'd love it if again, like the thing is, the MACD, it looks really bad, but it's just an indicator. but I still have to be very cautious and cater to the higher time frames, which are still bearish as of current. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, my original hypothesis is that we get a 4-wave and a 4-wave touching back to the 20k region. But again, we have to just see how the market turns out. Like, it's a bit too convenient for it to just be finished now. Yeah, I mean, the RSI is going to need to reset. I'm going off indicators here, but again, like, it's not been that bad. Like 50% correction. When Bitcoin really wants to go, it does like a 60. Most alts do a 90%. This correction here, from this high to this low, was a 70%. Like, and that's a proper correction in my opinion. That's I've got this as a 1, and then between a correction of a 1 is an ABC, which you have here, as you can see. So there's a chance that this actually is something like this. You know, we get a that's not a bad shout actually. I didn't notice that this is that it's a 70% correction. This is the capitulation. This is the end of the A wave, and what happens here is the strategy still works though. You can dip back in, and then you can ride the swing back up to the upside. This upside here only went up to the 60, 61. So how I'm going to play this again, I'm waiting for the week to close. If it closes somewhat bullish, I'm going to buy off those zones I said, and I'm going to ride it back up. I'm going to swing it back up to the upside, and the upside would be the upside of this move here. I'm going to be very vigilant. That's not right. That's better. I'm going to be very vigilant of the 61 area, which would be kind of in line. I actually expected Bitcoin to bounce back to about the 53 before we pull back. So, and that would be the start of a deeper, longer term, more drawn out correction, which would be something like this. It'd be an A, B, back to that 61. I'd actually say that's a pretty good zone, and then back down to the 4, which is down here. You know what? That's actually, I think that's a very, very nice breakdown there. Like, you have a very, very clear, strong area of relevance there on the weekly. And for me, I'd be satisfied that that correction's over when we get down to 20k. At the moment, still bearish, but it doesn't mean that this week isn't going to close and we get a push back up. There's going to be super, super nice swings to trade at the moment. Super, super, super nice swings. So I'm doing the exact same for Aion, because Aion swings far more than Bitcoin. So again, taking this, waiting for the week to close. If it closes bullish, I'm going to be buying back at I'm actually buying at 19 cent. That's where I've got my buys right now. And then after that, I'm going to be very observant, because it can pull all the way back to the it can pull all the way back to the 61.80, back up to here again. Another place, a really nice relevant place for it to swing back to. I've already got my alerts there. So if you catch a swing off that 100% swing, that's very nice. Very, very nice indeed. So we got this as an A, this as a B. Further downside, maybe take us back to these lows down here. It's kind of what I'm predicting. Considering that altcoins like to do, if Bitcoin does a 70% correction, altcoins will do near enough 80 to 90% correction. And from the top to there, it's about that. And this is a very, 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 very obvious liquidity zone. If my thing wants to do it, and that would be in line with the indicators as well. So I would not get that excited. I don't think this is going to be quick, and it's better for the market if it's long and drawn out and painful. To be quite honest with you, the more people shaking out, the better for the long run. And then I'm fairly certain that after that it's off to the races, because I see the same pattern every time when we start a new cycle. When we start, you can't really see on this one. I'm not going to clear that, but I will show you on something else potentially, if I can find it. But what tends to happen is this is the start of a new trend. It gets to about a significant fib zone and then it reverses back for the final attempt, can't make a lower low, and then pushes up to make all-time highs. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment, keeping my head very clear and just focusing on structure and logic and treating the market like if statements. Cool. Trim trader now.